everyone, welcome back to our channel. Now that your board exams are almost done, I'm sure the focus is now shifted towards your entrance exams. This video will be primarily focusing on the verbal ability section of IPM entrance exams, that are IPMAT Indore, IPMAT Rohtak and IPMAT. Now before we begin, what exactly is verbal ability? Now verbal ability, or like this section exactly, predominantly consists of the English language and some parts of it being the reasoning section. The level of difficulty can be anywhere between moderate to slightly difficult, but I think it also depends on the amount of or the level of practice that you've put into while preparing for it. So before we begin, how about we discuss the exam pattern of it? Now, as you can see, all the exams have the number of questions are different in all the cases. So for example, for Indore, the number of questions are 45, for Rohtak it's 40 and for IPMAT it's 34. That being said, the marking scheme for all of these are the same. So for every correct answer, you'll get 4 marks. For every incorrect answer, you lose 1 mark. And for every unattempted question, you'll not gain or lose any marks. And however, the level or like the number of questions being different, the level of difficulty or the syllabus is more or less the same. I have put a list of all the topics that come in all the exams. However, this list is not exhaustive and there could be some parts that I might have missed out on, but they sort of come under the same umbrella. Now, when I talk about the types of question, the English language or like the verbal ability section can be divided into 3 different subtopics, 3 or 4. I've put 2 in one, but I would go from now on, I'll be putting it into 3. So the first one that you see here is reading comprehension. Now reading comprehension is simply, as you already know, you have to read a passage and then you have to answer accordingly. In case of IPMAT, the passage could be anywhere between 200 to 500 words. So one passage could be of 100 or like a 200 word passage and the other could be a 500 words passage. And the number of questions also vary with that. So like I said, 200 to 500 words. The type of passage could be factual, narrative or literary. Now factual passages are where they've given you straight up facts and figures and you have to arrive at an answer by going through the question. Now narrative and literary are sort of subjective in a way where you can also sense the tone of the passage or what the author is trying to say. Secondly, the second section that we see here is that of grammar. Now grammar is something that we have done on and off while we were in school. However, we also know that the level of practice that we've put into grammar has not been a lot, in my opinion. So my tip for you would be, when you're preparing for IPMAT or any of the IPM exams, you should definitely focus on this section per se, because it's very important for you to practice. And the more you practice, the more your concepts are clear and the more you are able to answer these questions. When I talk about the subtopics in grammar, you can get questions from tenses, modifiers and parallelism, or prepositions and conjunctions, or other topic could be articles, etc. So the second topic would be grammar, and this is something that you should focus on. The third topic or subtopic that you see here is verbal ability or vocabulary. Now, when you look at the first 2 topics that are of syllogism and inferences and deductive reasoning, both of these topics are mostly or like more inclined towards the reasoning side of it. So it has less of English and more of reasoning. So you have to be very strong when it comes to both of these topics. Your reasoning should be strong enough to tackle these questions. However, the next 3 topics that you see here are antonyms, synonyms and one-word substitutes, etymology and foreign words, and idioms and phrases. Now these 3 are solely focused on vocabulary. That being said, these topics are very easy, like these are fairly easy topic, but it only depends on if you know the words. So it's a make or break situation. If you know the meaning of a certain word, you can pass the section with flying colors, but if you are not sure about the words or if you've never come across these words or these topics in itself, it can be a difficult battle to win. So my tip for this particular topic would be to work on the reasoning part and at the same time also try to go through certain books, certain material, or try to make a list of all these words and like these topics and subtopics, and try to list down all the words that you learn in a particular book that can be handy and can be used for you every time you can go back on. So however, I'll go more into detail about the certain tips and tricks that you can follow while preparing for the exams. The first one is speed is key. Now, when I say speed is key, it's very important given the point that it's a time stipulated exam. Speed and efficiency is very key in attempting questions. So in case of reading comprehension, my tip would be to first of all go through all the questions. Now when I say go through all the questions, once you come across a passage, the first thing would be to, even before reading the passage, you should definitely go through all the questions. Now when you go through all the questions, you get an idea of what are the answers, what are the questions that are expected. And when you go through the passage, once you have an idea of the questions that are expected, you will subconsciously focus on those parts of the passage. And I think in that way you save your time and energy, and do not waste a lot of your time on passages or like parts of the passages that are not very relevant to it. Skimming versus reading. Now this is where the second part comes. So when you go through the questions, the next step would be to read. And when I say read, I do not mean deep read the passage, but it means to skim through or like read fast, and basically to get an idea of where certain parts of the what each part of the passage is signifying or talking about. Now when you skim through the passage, you can also get an idea of, okay, this is where the question is, this is the part where question 2 has been asked or question 3 has been asked. So when you do all that, you're able to identify the topics or identify which part to focus on. So the ideal or like something that I have followed while I was preparing for my exams was, I read the questions, I skim through the passage, I identify the parts of the passage that the questions are from, and then I deep read the passage, while also mostly emphasizing on the parts where the questions are from. So that sort of saves your time. In contrast to if you read through the whole passage, deep read through the whole passage 2 or 3 times, that wastes a lot of your time in exam. And time is very crucial when it comes to your entrance exams or any exam for that matter. Now the second tip that you see here is read as much as you can. Books, articles, editorials, etc. Now this is a practice. This is something that you should be doing in continuation. It's not something that you can do or like you can achieve in over a week or a day. Now this has to be a practice that you have to do. However, you still have time for most of the exams. Your IPM exams are going to be in May or in June. So this is something that you can start doing from now on. You can read as many books and articles as you can. Not only does it help in your reading comprehension because it increases your speed to read, but at the same time it also helps you identify the right kind of sentences. So when you read certain things, you also get an idea of, oh, this is how a sentence is written or this is how a sentence is put. So it also helps you in your grammar questions. So when you get grammar questions, you're usually given it in the form of a closed test. Now closed test is what we call a passage with blanks in it. So you have to fill in the blanks with certain prepositions or articles. So by this logic, they also test your grammar that way. So when you read passages, you try to understand or you get more familiar with the structure of a sentence or a structure of a passage. So it helps you with reading comprehension by increasing your reading speed. It helps with your grammar because it helps you understand the structure of a sentence, and it also helps with your vocabulary because you get to know about a lot of words. And one tip would be, when you read these articles, stories, etc., like I've already said, create a separate handbook or like a small diary of sorts wherein you can write these words and their meanings for it, so that you can look back on these at the time of the examination. So read as much as you can. Start from now. You still have a month and a half to go, and you still have a lot to, you can still improve a lot if you start today. The third tip is grammar. Wren and Martin. Now, Wren and Martin is a book that is very, it starts from the beginner level and moves to the advanced level. And for someone who wants to improve in their grammar, aside from reading, this is one thing that you can do that, sort of introduces to certain concepts of grammar, like what exactly are tenses, what are different types of tenses. So it's not just for your exams per se, but it also helps you in your daily life. Like you can help form better sentences, better structured sentences. So Renan Martin is a book that you can refer to while you're preparing for grammar. Similarly, vocabulary. For vocabulary, you can go for Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. Now, if you are if you're trying to strengthen your vocabulary, or you're trying to, extend your vocabulary, this is the Bible. And not, like I've already said, not just for your exams, but also if you want to increase or improve your English language proficiency. So, Renan Martin and Word Power Made Easy. So this is all I have for you. You still have a lot of time. There's more than a month left for all of your exams to begin. However, like I've already said, practice is key. So the more you practice, the more you're able to become more efficient. You are able to save more time, and you'll be able to score more marks for it. So all the best. Thank you for watching.